Bonjour. I identify as gray asexual and gray romantic. And what does that mean? Asexuality is a really complicated topic, and I'm going to link to 3 videos in the description box that are Ashley Mardell's amazing collaboration with a bunch of other asexual YouTubers, where they describe all the different terms and terminology and break down the concepts that try to explain asexuality, what the experience is, because there's definitely no monolithic experience of asexuality. If you imagine that the frequency of attraction being somewhere between you never experience attraction and like 100 being what seems to be the average amount, the amount that feels about average. Gray asexuality, like asexuality would be, some people define it as just never experience any kind of attraction for anyone else at all. Gray encompasses the space in between of where you don't really experience as much attraction as you see most people around you experiencing, but it's somewhere in between. And this is complicated by the fact that there are different types of attraction, and gray asexuals can experience different levels of each kind of attraction. What I'm going to show is the 4 different types of attraction that I experience, which is sexual, romantic, platonic, and aesthetic. And as you'll see from the graph, I really very rarely at all experience sexual and romantic attraction, but I experience a lot of platonic attraction and a whole hell of a lot of aesthetic attraction. Also, I identify as demisexual and demi-romantic, and that means that I experience sexual and romantic attraction only under certain circumstances, which is when I have a very close, intimate, trusting level and deep emotional connection to another person. So that's what demisexual and demi-romantic mean. It took me a while to separate out the 2 different things because I've only been sexually and romantically attracted to 2 people, and I had both types of attraction to both people, and both are now dead. I don't feel sexually or romantically attracted to anyone who is living right now, but I would feel a lot of platonic attraction and aesthetic attraction, and sometimes I would mistake that for sexual and romantic, or I would conflate it because I wanted to fit in and I wanted to have close relationships with people, closer than friendship. And there's something in the asexuality community called a queer platonic friendship, which I really like this idea because it's closer than a normal friendship. It's like it's more deeply emotionally bonded, but there are no romantic and sexual aspects to it. And I think that was what I was wanting for a really long time. But unfortunately, I think what I wanted and what the other person wanted were different. The other person wanted a romantic and or sexual relationship, and so I gave them what they wanted, but that wasn't what I wanted, and that left me really, really unhappy, kind of traumatized by my own choices, unfortunately. But this was because I didn't understand. When I was 19, I came out to my parents. I said, I think I'm asexual, and they said, no, you're not. It wasn't anything like, get out of this house. It was just like, no, you're not. You don't know yourself. You don't know how you feel. 3 months after I came out, I met Derek, and I fell head over heels in love with him. It was mutual romantic and sexual attraction, and we moved in together, we got engaged, we got married, and it was like, oh, I guess they were right. I guess I'm not asexual. And then he got sick and died. And then I was right back where I started, not feeling any romantic or sexual attraction to anyone, but feeling this enormous hole in my heart because I was sharing my life with this human being who now no longer existed, and I hung on to that for a really long time, and I felt really lonely because that was my only real experience of reciprocated love of any kind. Now I feel like I have a little bit of a better understanding, but it's not total, because the thing is that asexuality and gray asexuality only describes pretty much the axis of how frequently you experience attraction for other people and under what circumstances you do. Asexuality doesn't describe to whom or what a person is attracted. The 2 times I've been attracted to someone romantically and sexually, they have both been cisgender male, but the platonic attraction that I feel for people is for people of all genders, all races, all walks of life, and when I feel it, it's really overwhelming. Like, I want to subscribe to your newsletter. I want to know all about you. I want to follow you everywhere on social media just because I think you're that awesome. And this happens most especially with artists and social justice warriors. That really gets me going, and it brings out those things in me. It's like it kind of jazzes me up. So I feel platonic attraction to people of all genders. I consider my gray asexuality, my demisexuality, and my demi-romanticism as an identity, but not an orientation, because an orientation would be like where these feelings are aimed at, what it is I'm attracted to, wanting to bring in. And then as far as aesthetic attraction, I can feel aesthetic attraction not just to people, but to works of art, to creative works, to movements, to events, and even to places. I love you, New York City. I remember our summer fling together. It was wonderful. I wish I could live with you all the time, but you were too cold most of the time and very expensive and problematic. That's what my sexuality, my demisexuality and demi-romanticism means for me. But different people will have different experiences, and they'll use the words for different things because these are describing like really nuanced levels of how we experience what we feel when we desire someone or when we appreciate someone or something. In the case of my unbounded aesthetic attraction, and how like I will go into a museum and often just kind of receive this overload of aesthetic attraction that makes me just I'm spent after a museum thing. And I tend to like to go to museums alone because I want to really spend quality time with the pieces that really inspire me and make me feel energized. But it isn't like I want to have sex with the pieces of art. I don't even know that that's a thing. I'm sure somebody somewhere wants to have sex with pieces of art, especially like some of those really suggestive sculptures. But not me. No, me, I just want to spend so much time with things that I'm platonically or aesthetically attracted to, and people that I'm platonically attracted to. I want to spend time taking in their awesomeness. But it may not necessarily be that I want that feeling reciprocated, that I want them to then give me their time and attention and form a friendship, because my sexuality is complicated by the fact that I'm poor, I'm disabled, I'm homeless, and I'm unemployed. My class and my ability and my living situation complicate my sexuality. Because these things, these aspects of me, disability and poverty, are seen as burdens on other people. You know, you don't want to get mooched on. You don't want to wind up a caretaker for someone that you're just seeing romantically, and you want to have an equal relationship with someone. Most people do, because they have their own lives, they have their own stuff to take care of in their own job. It's sort of like, you know, if you're dating with a kid, a lot of times people want to hide the fact that there's a kid because they don't want the person coming in to be like overwhelmed by thinking, oh, I'm also going to have to share in taking care of another human being. And that goes double for my disability and my poverty. I don't want to reveal that to people. And also because I know that I can sometimes be taken advantage of, and I have been abused a lot because of those things when people find them out about me. And then they decide to take me on as a fixer-upper project, and it's basically to make me a prop for their ego so they can save me, but they don't get my consent or permission or ask things before they do things to try to help me. And it's not about me, it's about what they want, which is to feel like saviors. That also leads to me just not wanting to share with people, and also not feeling like I can trust people very easily when they know these things about me. It complicates things. It means that sometimes people are going to pull away from me and mistake it for like me wanting them to save me. But it does really piss me off that society and culture looks at my living situation and considers me the butt of the joke. They make judgments about me. If you don't have a job, if you're living on a couch, if you're homeless, then you don't deserve love. People who write into advice columns and say, like, I'm in this terrible living situation and I want to have romantic and sexual experiences with other people. I want friends, I want that. And then the basic thing is just get a job. Kind of like how when overweight people will go to the doctor with symptoms, the doctor will just say, well, you just need to lose weight, and won't take their symptoms seriously. People are not taking my loneliness seriously because it's seen that I am defective as a human being because I don't have a job, I don't have a home, I'm disabled, and I'm poor. But that's not something that I can control. I can't work for a living. That means, too, that whenever I'm in a relationship with someone else, even if it's a friendship, there's an unequal power dynamic, and a lot of people don't want to talk about it because it makes them really uncomfortable to talk about their privileges, especially if they don't feel particularly privileged, if they're struggling financially, but they're not, homeless and jobless and have no income. It's not the same, but we need to be able to talk about it because sometimes I feel like I can't say no to someone if they have more financial power than me. Plus, a lot of socializing involves money. It involves money definitely for me to pay the gas to get there. If we're going to go out for coffee, I have to pay for my coffee or else let the other person pay for it. And that always feels very uncomfortable for me because I've had the experience in the past of people picking up the tab for me, but then increasing their expectations for me, or giving me money and then monitoring everything that I spend money on. So I'm really loath to take money from people because then they may not consciously notice that they're doing this, but I can feel them monitoring my purchases, and a lot more conversations are had where they ask me just offhanded questions about something that I've bought and make me feel like I have to explain and justify all of my purchases. And this is unbelievably not cool. This violates my boundaries entirely. You don't determine what I get to spend money on. I wish that people, when they gave me money, were just do whatever you have to do, and didn't necessarily expect me to then miraculously turn my life around, because I'm not just one act of charity away from turning it around. That's not how this works. This is so difficult to talk about too because people don't want to hear this stuff. So that's why I'm recording this video, is because I feel a need to talk about these things and how my sexuality is impacted by my poverty, my homelessness, my disability, and my joblessness. Those things are deal breakers for the vast majority of people when they think about dating someone. So it's not just that society as a whole is telling me that I don't deserve to live when they're denying me benefits. It's also that people are telling me that I also don't deserve romantic and sexual relationships. I don't deserve friendships because these things about me are personal flaws. That I don't have these things indicates that I'm lazy, that I'm too dependent and needy, that I'm not a good person to be with in any way, shape, or form. So I can't ignore that those things impact me. And then as far as my disability goes, it also impacts how many spoons I have, how much energy and resources I have to devote to a friendship, when a lot of the time, and increasingly so, it's all just me taking care of myself. So yeah, that's where I am with my sexuality and how it intersects with my poverty and my disability. If you're, curious and want to learn more about asexuality and aromanticism and the whole spectrum thing, I really invite you to click on the links below. They're very short videos. I think they're mostly even shorter than this one, and they were very informative to me and helped me really come to a better understanding of where I fall and what my experiences are. But I felt like my experiences are particularly impacted by the disability and the poverty as well, which is why I wanted to make this thing about my particular experience with just interpersonal relations of all kinds. If you have any questions about my experience of asexuality, let me know in the comments, because this is a part of myself that I'm just starting to explore and talk about. So I may not be totally 100% sure about where I am in these things, but I'm definitely interested to talk to other people about my experience. And I'll also link to the Asexuality Visibility and Education Network, which is a fantastic, huge community and site and forums that have helped me connect with other people who also identify as asexual. Thank you for watching.